What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLORIAN here. Welcome back to a brand new video, and today what I want to do is review episode 7 of season 10, The Walking Dead, episode titled Open Your Eyes. Now first, like usual, we're going to go over the likes of this episode and then the dislikes. So without further ado or any distractions, let's hop right into the good things I liked about this episode. So the first thing that I did like about this episode was Siddiq, Dante, and Rosita, like kind of their plot line. I'll go over like, what I like about that, or liked about that. I really honestly liked Siddiq this episode. I thought all the flashbacks in my opinion were all right, like all the flashbacks to like the barn and everything, which I'll save for later, getting into all of those and everything. But all the scenes with him and everything were just all in general just good. I liked when he has like his talk with Carroll, kind of like the dying old lady or whatever, like in the infirmary. I thought that was like just cool. But to the thing we all saw in the trailer, like the like big jumping in the water scene, we're all kind of like, oh, like where's Siddiq and everything, why is he jumping in the water? Well, I did really like that whole sequence and everything, like all the way from him having his like PTSD moment to him running and jumping in the water. Like I thought that was all really cool. Like I thought it was all like shot very well and everything. It looked very cool, especially with him in the water and having all of his flashbacks. But like as I said, I'll get to those later. And how Rosita saved him, like it was all just a very cool like sequence in my opinion. But the talk they had where like Rosita finally asked him about like why he's been acting so weird and everything, it basically tells him to cut the bullshit and everything and not to lie to her, was like genuinely a really good moment. Like it feels like for the past 2 or 3 episodes they've actually been giving Rosita like character, like actually good and interesting character. Like their talk was just so good because like Siddiq finally like opened up to her and like talked about like the barn and everything, like what happened, how he's kind of like, I guess you'd say, a bit of PTSD. Like I mean, he doesn't like say specifically PTSD, but he actually mentions to her like he's been going through things because he like couldn't save his friends or anything inside the barn. Now he like keeps just repeating in his head. I thought all of that was just really cool. It was all around just a really good scene or anything that they got to share together, and it definitely marks probably one of my favorite moments in the episode. Siddiq's flip out when he realized that the water is the reason that people are getting like sick and everything was just such a cool but very interesting and intense scene, because we actually see Siddiq get very angry at himself for not figuring out like out that like this sooner, or at least that's why I think he's angry and everything. But it's obviously because he's realizing now that this is the reason people are getting sick and everything like that. Like it was just such a cool scene and everything, because like he's getting angry, like, and it's all just really well edited and just super cool. I thought it was just interesting seeing him getting angry, because that's not something that we usually get to see a lot on the show and everything, because Siddiq's usually a very melancholy character, but to see him actually very fired up and angry was just such a cool scene in like my opinion. This point kind of blends into another and everything, but honestly fuck it. When Siddiq and Dante go to help the Whisper prisoner because Dante gave him some form of poison that I guess he so-called didn't know he was giving the Whisper starts to have like some breakdowns and everything. His mouth starts to leak blood, and he tries to like attack Siddiq and Dante and everything, because he's like, please help me and everything, because something's happening. But he eventually breaks down to the floor and dies and everything, and that was very cool and intense, and like how he's trying to fight back and spitting blood. Like I thought that was really cool. Like the scene where Siddiq starts to question Dante about like the herbs and everything is very tense and well done, whereas like Dante and everything, like how like they're all kind of like cornering Dante and everything, going like, oh, we know you did this and everything, explain yourself. Oh, and also before I forget and everything, when Siddiq is like tending to the wounds of the prisoner and everything before all this happens, it's like really cool, because the Whisper is essentially starting to taunt like like Siddiq and everything, because he says he remembers him and everything and he knows him, like pretty much like basically this Whisper was, I'm assuming, there from the barn, or like was like there when like Siddiq got captured, because he's like, I know you and everything, and remember me, or just like all this type of like really like scary dialogue and everything. It was just really cool and everything, and obviously made Siddiq flip out in general, because he was like, oh my god, like just having one of his like PTSD moments. Oh, and also the last big reveal. So near the end of the episode, Siddiq is doing one of his like epic, or doing like just like one of those epic stare out the windows like things, and Dante comes behind him and everything. They actually share a really cool and sweet scene in my opinion, where at first Siddiq's like telling Dante to leave and everything, because he's like, I don't want like you like to talk to whoever and everything, I just want to be by myself, and he just wants to like contain himself. But Dante doesn't leave and everything, and actually comforts Siddiq and everything. He's like, you're my friend and I want to be there for you and everything, and it's a very nice scene. Like I genuinely was like, oh, like this is really nice and anything to see them like together like this. But until Dante clicks his tongue and everything and sends Siddiq into one of his like PTSD episodes where he starts having some flashbacks and everything in the barn, and it's revealed that Dante was a Whisper, but not just any whisper, the whisper that held Siddiq down and forced him to watch the massacre. In my opinion, this scene is really cool and everything, but yet again, I still have my issues that I'll get into later with like all the flashbacks. But so like really cool and everything. It's super cool when he realized that, you know, Dante is that whisper and he's a whisper in general. But you know, when Siddiq realizes this and everything, Dante realizes that Siddiq now knows and everything, and they fight, which is just such a cool, intense scene in my opinion and everything, especially when he finally, like, you know, puts like Siddiq, when Dante puts Siddiq into like, you know, the deadly headlock, and Dante pretty much strangles Siddiq to death. This scene was definitely sad because of like, you know, the really good music in the background and everything and all behind that. But also what was kind of really weird about the scene, not a bad thing, it was just really weird and actually like really put me more into the scene, is how Dante actually looked very sad. Like he didn't want to actually do it. Like he didn't want to kill Siddiq, because in this season so far they've been actually having a really good and very close connection. But honestly, to wrap up that whole plot line and their kind of duo throughout the season and everything, I thought it was a very good, you know, like way to like, you know, send it off and everything. Very tense, but you know, it was definitely a very good plot line in my opinion. Moving on to the kind of, you know, the second plot line I liked, which is the Whisper, Prisoner, Carroll, Daryl, and Lydia. So all the prisoner scenes I really liked anything because they were all like extremely interesting, especially with like, you know, the scene where the Whisper's like talking down to all of them and everything, saying you all are weak and everything, which I thought was really cool because it put you in kind of position where it's like all of them actually looked concerned about this Whisper, like, you know, saying all that and everything, saying you guys are all weak. I don't know, it was something about that scene that I'm not sure if anyone ever, like else felt, but it was cool nonetheless. Also, I thought it was interesting when Lydia and like, you know, Carroll had their little talk about Alpha and everything, and how if the Whispers were exposed to an idea that a community like, you know, Alexandria could survive and work, that it was like, you know, a dangerous idea and everything because it could make him turn against Alpha and everything. I really did like that scene and everything, but also when they brought up Henry for like a little bit and everything, I thought that was really cool. I think the scene where Carol's talking to the Whisper and everything and says like, okay, like she's basically like, you know, brings this tray and everything, and she's like, okay, let's begin and everything, like in a very epic way, like she's about to like literally fucking kill him. But then she reveals a sandwich making kit, which was actually really funny. It's something that I didn't expect because like, you know, it was, I don't know, it was just like one of those like random funny moments. But it takes a really bad turn when the Whisper, like while he's eating and everything, he spits the sandwich at Carol and everything. She gets mad and pretty much punches the shit out of him and everything, which was a really cool scene by the way, because she actually put on Ezekiel's ring and everything as kind of like a brass knuckle and started punching on him and everything. But obviously Daryl steps and everything, interrogates him, which was also really cool too, like when he threatened to like, you know, cut off his fingers and everything. Some background things like about their plot and everything was really cool, especially in the beginning of the episode when Daryl had this kind of moment with Dog in his house and in his room. I thought that was a very funny and cool scene to just see a different side of Daryl, in my opinion, just like, you know, like see his kind of like life away from everyone else. Like I guess we kind of see it and everything, but I guess this was just very cool and everyone else felt it. Like, you know, the scene was really cool because I did read some like, you know, posts or anything where people actually genuinely like, you know, the scene or anything, which I did really too. The last kind of plot line is kind of the Aaron, Gamma, Alpha, and Carol and Lydia, you know, plot line. So I thought the scenes between Aaron and Gamma were actually very interesting and kind of sweet, oddly enough, which is very weird because they don't really have like a relationship chemistry, but it was all really cool, especially when like, you know, Aaron started like, you know, to get personal with Gamma and everything, and brought up his daughter and everything, and, you know, they kind of like shared some like, you know, information back and forth about, you just know, like their personal lives. I thought it was also cool when, you know, like Aaron showed like Gamma like, you know, the drawing of like that his daughter did, just like, you know, the small stuff like that is just really like, you know, nice parts about the episode, which I feel like they just need to do more of. But then Aaron brought up, you know, like some siblings and everything, like, you know, and obviously Gamma kind of had to leave because she started to think of her sister and everything, which, you know, made her kind of like freak out because she didn't want to get into siblings. What was interesting about their kind of talk, like, you know, at least during the daytime and everything, is Aaron did mention that he did have a brother, which was cool because that's like some little backstory that I did not know about actually. So Gamma and Alpha's interaction was all right in my opinion. Like I didn't feel too interested about like, you know, what they were talking about and everything, kind of like, oh, you know, don't let him get into your head or whatever, or anything about his lies. I guess I found it a little interesting when like, you know, Alpha started whipping Gamma and everything, because you could see Gamma was like didn't like it and everything. Like obviously no one likes to be fucking like whipped or whatever, but obviously, you know, Gamma like looked very like, you know, demented and sad and everything. But I guess that was kind of interesting nonetheless. The ending of their plot when Gamma starts to get aggressive with Aaron and everything at night, and is very interesting and everything, especially when Gamma takes the picture like of like, you know, his daughter, basically says take the picture back or I'll burn it. But then when Aaron goes to like, you know, for the picture and everything, she holds him at knife point, I guess. I'm not sure if that's like, you know, the right terminology to use for that. And then Carol comes out of nowhere and everything, and basically tells her to drop the knife and everything. She doesn't listen. But then Lydia comes out from the shadows and everything, and this is when Gamma starts to have like her freak out and everything and runs away because like, you know, Alpha obviously told every Whisper and including Gamma that she did kill Lydia. But Gamma's freak out was actually really cool, especially like very interesting and cool, especially when she started to go like no, 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 and like I thought that was very, you know, cool. Lydia's realization about when Carol tells her that like, you know, like basically basically like, oh, she told her people and everything that you were dead and all that type of stuff. I thought that was very interesting because obviously, like, Lydia was like, was like starstruck in about how like the fact that now her mother's in like danger, which no matter how like, shitty Alpha treats like, Lydia and everything, I guess they're like, they both kind of still care about each other a little bit. Also, how Lydia kind of crosses the borders was actually very interesting, especially when she hit Carroll and like, Carroll actually looked very emotional, which I would be too, and everything, considered like, Carroll completely just fucked up the entire plan of like the fact that they had to keep Lydia. But moving on to the things I did not like about this episode. The flashbacks to the barn things, which I didn't mention a lot in this very thing, but those were things I just did not like. Like, I swear to God, I thought I was gonna have a fucking seizure because of how much flashing and quick cutting happened inside these flashbacks. Also, why'd they choose to show DJ out of all of the fucking characters? Like, I guess it was cool when they showed him about to be like, like very quickly about to get his head chopped off or anything. I guess that was kind of cool. And they kind of show Enid with her head down and everything. Like, what the fuck? In my opinion, whatever, they should have shown Henry, Enid, and Taryn right before the decapitations, because that would have had like a better impact on me and anything. But then like seeing like, like DJ and then, Enid's fucking like the top of her head or whatever. But nope, those decapitations, just sucked in my opinion. Like, they just weren't really that good. I will say though, the scenes where Dante is holding Siddiq's eyes open and everything and clicking in his ear and everything, all the Dante flashbacks and everything, inside the barn with like, Dante as a whisperer, like, with Siddiq, I thought they were very interesting and genuinely creepy. They were pretty good. Moving on to the second thing I didn't like, which is like, Siddiq's death logic, or, a different way I think it should have gone or whatever, but I was kind of fine either way. So I thought his death scene was good and emotional in my opinion, like I expressed earlier, the things I did like, but there seems to be a way that I wish it honestly like would have gone. So earlier, like, when Rosita mentioned like, fighting back, his past and everything to seek, like, oh, you have to fight back your past and everything, you can't let it take control of you. Like, I thought that was really impactful. I thought that was gonna take like, like into like, like the end of the episode, I think, when like, Dante attacked him. Like, I was kind of hoping like, Siddiq would fight back against Dante and win and basically like, like reveal like he was a whisperer and like, oh, he fought back and won. Anything would have been on a road to recovery for like, fighting back his past and anything. Like, it would have been cool. Like, I guess he did kind of fight back his past and everything, where like he like fought, like he finally fought and got to like like save him, like kind of a I guess like he did get to fight his past and everything. I guess it was cool. I was honestly happy like either way, like if it would have gone the way that I just expressed and everything, or the way it did go and everything. I liked it, like the both ways it went, or like the ways it could have gone or whatever. I don't know. But that was kind of the end of my review and everything. I hope you guys did enjoy this video or anything and this review. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below on the episode or anything. What part did you enjoy the most and what part did you not like the most? And yep, I'll see you guys later. Peace of my amigos and peace out.